For this one, we're going to be moving into how to solve problems going from grams to moles. We're going to be using a similar setup for dimensional analysis. We're just going to be making the table a little bit bigger. So now our table is going to be 3 steps, where this is still your given, this is still your want, but now this middle section is going to be stuff that we know. And if you are doing grams to moles, we know given is whatever quantity the question tells us. This part right here is going to be your molar mass. And in your last section on this side, this is going to be your mole ratio. So this is a combination of going from grams to moles and a combination with the moles to moles. It's a combination of those two. So let me show you how that looks like with some examples. So using this equation, the one for salt, how many moles of NaCl, so how many moles of this, can you make from 46 grams of Na? So if I have 46 grams of this, how many moles of this can I make? So let's go ahead and set this one up. I'm going to make my 3 boxes. Start with your given, so 46 grams goes there. Remember, as soon as you write your unit at the top, you're going to write it at the bottom. Okay? And what we're going to be doing first is going from grams to mole. So I have grams, I want moles. So I want moles of this, of Na. And then the last step, as soon as I write the unit at the top, I'm going to write the unit at the bottom. And then what I want is moles of NaCl. So this is my want. And that goes right here. Mole of NaCl. If you get this set up wrong, you're going to get the question wrong. So let's go over what each block has. So this is my given, which is the 46 grams of NaCl. As soon as I write the unit here at the bottom, at the top, I'm going to write the unit at the bottom. So that goes right there. And the first thing that I want to do is get the molar mass stuff. So molar mass is going to be the grams and then your moles. So I'm going to get the molar mass of Na. So I need moles on the top. Also because I'm going from grams to moles. So grams to moles, both of Na. Then when I write the unit here at the top, I'm going to write at the bottom. And then this is the last box is what I want. And what I want is moles of NaCl. So all I got to do now is put in my information. So this is the molar mass. And I'm going to get this from the periodic table. And from the periodic table, I know that 1 mole of Na has a mass of 23. So when you're doing molar mass, remember that the mole is always going to be 1. And the mass is whatever it says on the periodic table. So now that that's done, now I need to put in what I know for this. Now this is mole, so this is mole ratio. And for mole ratio, remember that we need to put in whatever numbers are in front of our compounds or molecules and elements from the equation. If something is blank, there's a 1. But I'm not going to need chlorine now. For this one, I need NaCl and Na. So moles of NaCl. I'm going to look at the equation. NaCl is right here. Moles of NaCl, 2. So I'm going to take these 2, put it right there. Next, I'm going to do the same thing with Na. Mole of Na. Na is right here. In front of the Na is 2. So I have 2 moles of Na. From here, I am ready to start multiplying across. But now I have to multiply all of it on top across, all of the top, the bottom across. And then after that, I need to divide my top from the bottom. So gram of Na cancels with gram of Na. Mole of Na cancels with mole of Na. So I'm going to be left with mole of NaCl, which is what I want, mole of NaCl. So from the top, I have 46 times 1 times 2 divided by 23 times 2. So now I have 46 times 1 is 46. 46 times 2 is 92. Divided by 23 times 2 is 46. Plug this in, 92 divided by 46 will give you 2. Don't forget your unit. 2 what? My last unit, the unit that didn't get cancelled off, was what I want. Mole of NaCl. So if I have 46 grams of sodium, I can make a total of 2 moles of NaCl. If that got a little bit confusing, we have 2 more examples to go through. That was the answer. So let's go to the next one. I'm going to be using the same equation for the example 2 and example 3. So example 2, now how many moles of NaCl, so I'm still using NaCl, how many moles can you make from 150 grams of Cl2? So that's my given. So I have 150 grams of this. How many moles of NaCl can I make? So that's my want. So let's set this one up. So 3 boxes. Given 150 grams of Cl2. As soon as I write grams of Cl2, I'm going to write grams of Cl2 at the bottom. First thing I'm doing is going from grams to moles. So I'm going to go from grams of this to moles of this. So moles of Cl2. So that was my next step. Grams to moles. And then as soon as I write the unit at the top, write it at the bottom. The last thing, the last box right here is what I want. I'm going from grams to moles to moles. So grams to moles of NaCl. Because that's what I want. So next, I'm doing the molar mass section. So remember molar mass, when you have moles and grams like this, mole is always 1. So 1 mole of Cl2, how much mass of CO2 does it have? Each chlorine, if we round it, if we're using the mass from the rounded periodic table, chlorine has a mass of 35, but it's a Cl2, so I have 2 chlorines. So 35 plus 35 gives me a mass of 70. The last box, or last 2 boxes, this last section right here, this is mole and mole. So that's mole ratio. Mole ratio comes from my equation. In front of the NaCl in my equation, I have 2. So 2 goes there. In front of the Cl2 in my equation, there's nothing, there's no number. There's an invisible 1 right there. So 1 goes there. Multiply, multiply, and then multiply those, and then divide top and bottom. Grams, cancel with grams. Moles, cancel with moles. So now I'm left with 150 times 1 times 2. So that's the top divided by the bottom, which is 70 times 1. So if I do the top, I'm going to be left with 150 times 1, which is 150 times 2, 300, divided by 70. Then we got to do 300 divided that by 70. We get a long decimal, but let's round it to 2. 4.29. And my unit is the unit of my want, mole of NaCl. That's it. So if I have 150 grams of chlorine or chlorine gas, Cl2, I end with 4.29 moles of NaCl. So this is molar mass, the molar mass of Cl2. This is the mole ratio of Cl2 to NaCl. So let's now do example number 3. Same equation, 2Na plus Cl2 arrow 2NaCl. So there should be Cl2 right there. So how many moles of Cl2 must react with 50 grams of Na? So how many moles of this do I need to react with 50 grams of this? So let's set this one up. So my given, 50 grams of Na. I'm going to write this unit at the bottom. So next I'm going from grams of this to moles of this because I'm going from grams to moles. So this step will always be the same compound or the same element depending on what you start with. So if this is Na, this has to be Na. If that will be Cl2, then that will be Cl2. So make sure there's always the same. Grams of this to moles of this. Now that the mole is at the top, I'm going to write the mole at the bottom. Last thing is what I want, and I want moles of CO2. Molar mass, mole is always going to be 1. In grams of Na, it's 23. We get that from the periodic table. And then the mole ratio, so in front of the CO2, there is a 1. In front of the Na, there is a 2. Gram, gram, cancel. Mole, mole, cancel. Multiply across, and then divide top and bottom. So I'm left with 50 times 1 times 1 divided by 23 times 2. So 50 times 1 is 50, times 1 is 50, divided by 23 times 2 is 46. All we got to do is plug that in. 50 divided by 46 is going to be a long decimal, but let's round it to 2. 1.09. And my unit, moles of Cl2. And that's the answer. So if I start with 50 grams of Na, if I have 50 grams of this, I need 1.09 moles of this to react with it. And that's how you're doing. So it's 3 steps. We're just combining the grams to moles and then the moles to moles. So now we get grams to moles to moles. So for practice, here are 2 questions. It's going to be using the water formula. 2H2 plus O2 gives you 2H2O. So how many moles of water are created from 10 grams of H2? The next one, number 2, is how many moles of water are created from 64 grams of O2? Okay, so good luck with this ones. If you have any questions, do reach out so I can help you guys out. And that's it.